I wanted to talk a little bit about the Caduceus this evening, this scepter of Hermes, Mercury, and I find the symbol quite fascinating. Of course, it's quite usual to find it represented in esoteric and occult and hermetic circles. And of course, those of you living in America, or in the United States at least, would be used to seeing it represented on hospitals and on doctors' surgeries and practices, anything to do with medical care. In Europe, we tend to find rather the rod of Asclepius, Asclepius being the Greek god of medicine, a son of Apollo's. Hermes was given the Caduceus by Apollo also, but both of these were gifts of Apollo, interestingly. What I find particularly interesting is the many symbols incorporated in this one symbol. We've got the staff, of course, the male force, but we've also got this helmet, this top little piece there, which represents higher thought, and then we've got the wings representing diligence, and then we've got these two intertwined serpents. Now that's actually what I find particularly interesting here, is the serpents. In Judeo-Christian thought, at least recently, the snake has come to be an equivalent of the devil. We think of Genesis and the evil serpent who leads Eve to commit the original sin. But throughout most other cultures, and I would actually argue through Judeo-Christianity as well, if you're prepared to see it that way, the snake does represent wisdom. If we remember the story of Aaron and Moses, of course, visiting the Pharaoh, Moses throws his staff to the floor, it turns into a snake. And then the Pharaoh brings in his magicians, they throw their staves to the floor, they turn into snakes, but then Moses' snake devours the magician's snakes and then turns back into a staff. Now you can take that story literally if you find that useful, but I find it particularly interesting to think about it in terms of simply our wisdom is more powerful than yours, and just simply as a symbol of that claim, right, in symbolic form. So there we go. What else can I tell you about the Caduceus? Well, on the Caduceus we have two serpents, and I see them very much as the yin and yang. I see the Caduceus as a symbol of balance, in fact. The two sides of the coin, the two sides of an argument, the two sides of an idea. And I find it particularly interesting that we have then this double helix going up and down the scepter. Of course, the other place we know the double helix from is DNA. I don't know, I find it a marvelous coincidence that DNA happens to be the most dense form of data known to mankind. And with the Caduceus representing knowledge, wisdom, information, and these wings representing the speed of the information. And of course, Mercury himself, right? Hermes himself being the god of transactions, of anything going from point A to point B, whether it's merchandise or information or whatever it might be. Transport, technology, but technology why? Well, because data goes from point A to point B. Then I find it great that we then have this double helix, which is directly mirrored from nature, from DNA, this densest occurrence of data in nature. So yeah, those are some interesting thoughts about the Caduceus, and I find it a fascinating symbol. I hope that was useful for you guys. Don't forget to leave any comments that you might have down in the comments section, and to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and to subscribe if you haven't already, of course. Thanks ever so much for watching as always, and see you next time.